What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and this is part 16 of our Fossil Fighter playthrough. Last time, we did a couple of housekeeping things after we were told Rosie was kidnapped. This time, we're storming the BB base to get her back. With that being said, let's get into this. So, while we're going through the BB base, before we actually go up there, because there's a lot of BB members in there, this base is basically the same as the Dig-a-Dig-a-Mid from the past, where it's just room, boss fight, room, boss fight, room, boss fight. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to speed up this, and I am going to take this time to do the bios of the BB base. So let's go ahead and get to it. The first of the Vivisaurs found in the BB base is Styraco. Styraco gets access to both an Enrage skill as well as a Scare skill. This makes Styraco really good at both making the opponents miss their skills or straight up stopping specific skills from being used. Styraco also has some pretty nice support effects, making your own attack zone Vivisaur hit more of their attacks, as well as more likely to dodge your opponent's attacks. Styraco is a good pickup for players that want a Vivisaur that can help their other Vivisaurs live longer while not being fully support-oriented themselves. Next up is Dilafo. Dilafo is an all-around class Vivisaur whose main contribution to a team is building up FP faster than normal. Dilafo has a passive ability called FP+, which allows it to increase the rate that FP recharges each turn by 10%. However, Dilafo does have a couple of downsides. The first is that it really only gets damage dealing skills, which means it's not causing any statuses to hinder your opponent. The other downside is that it has a really weak defense, which means that if it's in the attack zone, it is likely to take an attack and be defeated. It's important to keep in mind that the FP Plus ability only works if Dilafo is on the battlefield, though it is a bigger downside than it might seem at first. I would say that Dilafo is extremely valuable if kept on the battlefield long enough to get proper use out of that FP Plus ability, but it does not have much else going for it. After Dilafo is Colo. Colo is a support class Vivisaur that has two major tools to help it in that role. The first is its support effects are amazing for buffing your own attack zone Vivisaur, and the second tool is that it learns the ability called Neutralize. Neutralize allows Colo to target one of your own Vivisaurs and completely remove all statuses that are affecting it. This is awesome because we have only really been able to remove statuses by switching the Vivisaur that is statused into the escape zone, but by doing that, it could cause problems in team layout and type effectiveness. But by having the skill Neutralize on your team, you completely remove the need to switch your strong Vivisaurs out of the attack zone just to get rid of those negative status effects. One thing to keep in mind is that the wording of the skill is eliminate all effects. This means that both negative and positive status effects will be removed if used, which could make things more difficult. Colo is a reliable support Vivisaur that both buffs your side and stops all unwanted status effects all at once. Next up is Kentro. Kentro is a defensive class Vivisaur that has the ability to make any of your other Vivisaurs very defensive as well. Kentro gets a positive status effect that buffs your attack zone Vivisaur's defense, but also eventually gets a skill that allows it to greatly increase a targeted Vivisaur's defense as well. Those two things combine to make pretty much any Vivisaur in your attack zone an iron wall. For example, take Spinax, which is a Vivisaur everyone gets access to since it's the starting Vivisaur. Spinax has 36 base defense at rank 12. It then gets 50 points increase by Kentro's Golden Harden skill, which brings it up to 86 points. Finally, the support effect raises it by 30%, bringing Spinax, who started at 36 points of defense, to 112 points of defense. That is higher than every single legendary Vivisaur in the game by almost 50 points. I would be completely fine recommending Kentro just for the ability to make the most defensive Vivisaurs ever, but it also gets the skill to confuse your opponents on top of all that. With that being said, Kentro is an amazing choice for anyone that likes using 1 to 2 attack class Vivisaurs for most battles, but wants them to be able to survive longer within those battles. Next up after Kentro is Pelto. Pelto is a defensive class Vivisaur that can spread around several different status effects. It gets access to both an Excite skill as well as a Sleep skill, which is a huge upside because only a select few Vivisaurs get any Sleep skills. Pelto also gets the Harden skill, but unlike Kentro, it is only the silver version. I would say that Pelto is almost like the opposite of Kentro, because while Kentro likes to sit in the support zone and buff your Vivisaurs, Pelto likes to sit in the support zone and nerf your opponents. So if you didn't like Kentro because you like Vivisaurs that more directly affect your opponents, then Pelto is the Vivisaur for you. The next Vivisaur found here is Salto. Unfortunately, Salto is one of those Vivisaurs that I just flat out don't recommend using. Salto is a long-range Vivisaur with the ability to raise the defense of your Vivisaurs with its Harden skill, and that's about where the positives of Salto stop. The negatives of using Salto are that it has a negative support effects for your attack zone. It gets an auto counter skill, but won't be able to use it much since the AI doesn't attack the support zone very much at all. So you may think with those two things that, oh, I'll just put it in the attack zone and use it like an attack class. But unlike other Vivisaurs that I would recommend using that way, Salto neither has the stats nor the skill power to back up that strategy. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend using Salto, but if you do, the best strategy I could come up with is for it to use its Scare skill from the support zone to deal some damage, and to try to stop your opponents from using their skills. And we are ending on a high note from the BB base with Displeto. Displeto is an attack class Vivisaur that works really well as one. Displeto has both a really high attack stat as well as a really decent defense stat to back that up. This makes Displeto almost perfectly suited for long drawn-out battles with it sitting in the attack zone. Displeto also gains access to a Scare skill, which allows it to take skills away from your opponent, which also makes Displeto even harder to defeat. Overall, if you are looking for a Vivisaur that can take a head-on attack and then hit back even harder, then Displeto is a great choice. You beat me? Me? How could I have misjudged your strength so badly? Perhaps this time I reconsider my career option. Alright, and with that, we have gone over all the bios of the BB base, and we have taken out the 3 main members. So I guess it's time for us to do the namesake of this chapter and find out who the boss of the BB Bandits are. Well, Phoenix. What took you so long? With your accomplishments, I figured you'd make it here sooner or later. I just thought it would be sooner. Poor kidnapped Rosie here has been wondering if you would ever show. That's the extent of your kidnapping? You put tape over her mouth. Why'd you put it in an X form? It seems excessive. But also, she's not tied up or anything. She could easily run away. Let me guess. You're kicking yourself for not seeing it coming, aren't you? No one saw it coming. Of course. I've worn the friendly smiling mask of a police captain for a long time. But this is the real me. Bartholomew Bulwark, BB Boss. If you had just handed over the idols nicely, then poor Rosie wouldn't be in this situation. I hate to do this, but I can't have you spoiling my secret, can I? Alright, getting into this battle with Bartholomew Bulwark, aka the BB Boss. Uh, the first thing is he has two fire types and an earth type Venusaur, and they are the Brontosaurus type style Venusaurs, which means that they are capable of using the what's it called? The team skills. Because they're all grouped within the same class. To go over the BB base a little bit more, because we kind of sped through it to get through the bios and everything. The BB base itself, since it has unique fossils and Vivosaurs and everything that you are able to dig up and everything and need for the end game, or for the post game, once you beat the BB boss, the BB base becomes a regular dig site. So, once we finish this fight and I forget if it's finish this fight or finish the chapter, but one of the two, you can talk to Beth and then come back here as if it was just a normal dig site. The other thing is, along with the bios that we went over for all the Vivosaurs here, there is actually one more Vivosaur that you can find here that technically you could find before this chapter, so I didn't put its bio here, but I wanted to make special note of it because it's a lot easier to find here. That Vivosaur would be Delta. Technically, you can find it in the caverns of Bottoms Up Bay, but it is a lot easier to find. It's a lot easier to find it here at the BB base. Also, while we're going through this fight, something funny that just popped into my head is his name is Bartholomew, and I'm just remembering the TikTok of a guy basically acting out as like a child, and he is doing all these big words and everything as a child, but he's not really understanding what's happening, and he locks himself in the bathroom, and he just starts yelling, "Ah, Bartholomew, if you were here!" It just reminds me of that TikTok of the guy yelling for a dead hamster. It's just so funny. But we should be able to finish this fight up in just... It should only be 2 more attacks, I assume. Actually, it will be 2 more attacks. I can almost guarantee it, considering that we have the extra 60 FP. So, I'm going to Diving Thrust, and then we should be able to take him out next turn if this doesn't take him out. Okay. Yeah, basically anything that hits him takes him out. He's doing Shuno Crush. I don't believe we've seen a Shuno yet. So, let's see here. Oh, well, just because I want to do a little bit of overkill, let's use Whirlpool for the first time. Since this is the first chapter, we'll actually be able to use Whirlpool. That... It's my perfect victory! We just arrested the last few BB soldiers. Captain Bulwark, you are also under arrest. Thank you so much, Phoenix. That was incredibly brave of you. Really, thank you. Rosie, Mr. Richmond is worried about you. You should get back to town. Oh, of course, thank you. Oh, of course, thank you, officer. I have to get back now, Phoenix, but come later at my grandfather's place. Alright, bye, Rosie. Only the single hand wave? We don't even get the double hand wave this time. We're just going to let them go? Why not just steal the devices from them now? They couldn't stop us. I think we need not worry. They still have not found the last one. We can simply wait until they are all collected together, then take them all. But what about the BB Bandits? We can't count on them anymore. Who exactly will we have looking for the last device? I believe I have a solution to that problem already. Alright, and with that, I believe we are going to call that an episode. We took down the bandits, we took out the BB boss, and we rescued Rosie from her kidnapper. So, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And next time, we'll go and see Mr. Richmond and see what he has to say to us. But until then, happy adventuring!